I love butterflies. I love creating with butterflies, and I got this book from maremismallart earlier on in January, and I haven't had a chance to use it yet, so I thought today would be an opportunity for us to have a little look through, but also use it to do some creating. Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching my video today. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back, and thank you very much for your continued views. It is much appreciated. Now today I thought I would do something with this beautiful book from maremismallart all about butterflies, and I'm going to be inspired by this. Now I know lots of people have the beautiful palette cards from Sarah Renee Clark, and I have a lovely palette book. But last year I did have a little go at making my own. I got as far as, I think I made 10 and then I realised it is really hard work, based on photos that me or members of my family had taken. And one of my favourite butterflies is the peacock butterfly here in the UK. And so I thought that because I've got the beautiful butterfly book, I could use this as my inspiration and this colour palette, which was taken from the photograph, so it really is sort of local to me as well. So I hope you can see it. I hope it's on, I think it's on a matte finish, this photo, so hopefully that's easy for you to see. So that is going to be my inspiration, so I'll pop that there. I'm thinking I'm going to do something in my Canson Art Book because I want to use watercolours. I'm thinking I'm going to use my Gansai Tambi from Kuretake and match the colours up with that, because that would be a nice start. But I think I might do something a little bit different. Rather than just a very abstract background, I'm going to do something a little bit more structured today, I think. But I thought we'd have a quick look at the butterfly book. I'm not going to do a proper flip through. I'm just going to sort of glance through some pages, because what I really want to do is try to find a butterfly that looks like this. As always, absolutely stunning feel to these books. I just love the feel of the cover. It's really got it's like velvet. I'm not quite sure. Now this says volume 1, which leads me to assume that there may be future versions of butterflies coming out. I like this one. It's very straightforward. You get what it says on the tin, so to speak. It is butterflies. It's butterflies that you can cut. This is one of the early books that Marta brought out, so it's got this lovely big sort of introduction, and there are no pictures of any future books no other books, because it was one of the first. So you've got our beautiful sentiments or our quotes, and then I'm just going to very quickly, because as I go through I'm going to be looking. I want a peacock style butterfly, but I want one that matches in with my colours. So as I go through I'm going to be looking out for that precisely. So I'm not going to spend long over each page, because I think you can sort of get the idea. You've got, ooh, that's sort of, oh, I like that one. Let me just pop I've got I have all these bookmarks beside me, my arty bookmarks. That's no, it's not Starry Eye. It's a Van Gogh one. I never know how you say that, if it's we always used to say Van Gogh, then I say Van Gogh. So I'm going to pop that in there, because that's a potential. No, these aren't really, I hope you can see that, I can't tell. So, ooh, so we've got these lovely peacocky type ones, but I'm going to keep my finger in that page. That is a nice one as well. So let's just keep my fingers in those pages. But this one, that's very much got some of those colours in, hasn't it? Oh, I'm going to keep that. I'm holding on to that then, because I think they may. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick another bookmark just so I know those pages. So this is a Klimt one. I purposefully bought some beautiful bookmarks for using with the collage book, so that I could keep my pages. I think they may be the ones that are or look at the size of that. So you've got a real array of so you've got from your little teeny tiny ones to these huge butterflies. The other thing I've got to think about is I have got to look at the size of the page. Now I like that, but it's not got the peacock eyes at the top, has it? But look, so you've got some that are a bit more like fantasy colours, a bit more sort of magical, a bit more fantastical. Then you've got ones that are flying in different directions, which I think is nice as well. Look at the size of that one. If you've got a big canvas as well, that would be fantastic. I think they'll go more into like the tortoiseshell style here. So I think it's going to be a choice of those ones. So I do like that. Now, this is where I'm going to now start looking at the size of my journal. So that would, I think that may be a bit too big. I'm not sure. So let's have a look back through these ones. I do like that one. I love the greens, the tealy colours. Teal is one of my favourite colours. I think I prefer, yeah, that's a bit brighter. I'm liking that one. That's more in a brown. This has got sort of more of an orange and brighter blue. So I'm thinking that's a nice size, but where's my one gone? I've lost it already. There. I think I like the shape of that. That one actually matches my butterfly better, but I do like the shape of that one. Let's just have another look. Ooh, I think I'm going to go with this one. So let's take my bookmarks out and let's grab some scissors. So I will list the items that I've used, the products that I've used, in the description box below. So I don't like to talk too much when I'm making other noise, because I think sometimes the microphone sort of focuses on whatever it considers the loudest of the noises. So here's my butterfly. I'm thinking, I don't know, I think I'm just going to go with the one butterfly. I want it to be a real standout sort of focal point. Let's get to my next page. So I'm going to, what I tend to do with this is I tuck this band inside like that, and then it keeps it out of the way. Right, so yeah, so I think that'll be a lovely focal point just on its own. So let's cut this one out. Now, do I want to leave a border or do I want to cut to the edge? I'm going to leave a little border, I think, because I have in my head an idea of what I want to do. So I think a border might work better. So I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors and I am turning my paper as much as I can so that I'm not getting myself in a bit of a, you know, pickle with cutting out. I like to make it as easy as possible. Now, antennae are always a little bit of a controversial thing, aren't they? Some people will just chop them straight off, and to be honest, sometimes I do. Sometimes, especially if I'm doing something that involves stamping, and I'm stamping an image and cutting it out, sometimes you can then stamp it down on your project and then stick your other one over the top. But sometimes you can just draw in antennae. They're not, you know, they're not the trickiest of things, but because I'm leaving a border, I am going to cut these out, but I am giving them quite a bit of space around them, because otherwise what you will tend to find is they will just get ripped, or they're going to flop about or flop off, one or the other, aren't they? Flop off. So I just made myself laugh then. So they're not too difficult. All of these ones in this book are sort of totally individual elements, as in with some of the books you get a lot of background detail, which I love, but on these ones, these are really good ones for if you like to just fussy cut your main image and just have that main image. I got a bit close there. I didn't really overly leave a border, but I'm not going to worry about it, because by the time it gets attached to the page, you're probably not even going to notice that much. So let's get that. And we will go up into here. There. There. I'm going to surprise everybody today. I'm not going to be putting any tape around my page. I'm going to create some frames within my page. Now, recently Marta did a live on her channel using butterflies. So if you would like more inspiration for how to use her butterflies, then I would recommend that. I will link her channel in the description below. It wasn't using the butterflies from this book. It was using it from a digital image that's available from her store. And for that particular live session, she was giving it away for free. But I think now you have to pay. I don't think you have to pay very much. I personally don't do digi images because our printer is not great. We've never got printer ink. Every time you go to use colour ink on our printer, it's, you know, one of the colours has run out. So it's not a printer that we particularly use apart from like essential black and white things that we need to print out. But there is my butterfly. It's going to go on there. I'm now going to sort out get out my paints so we can find some colour matches, and I'll be back in a moment. I've got now my Art Nouveau set from the Kuretake Gansai Tambis. And I chose this one because I think it matches the colours on the palette better than the other set. The other set I have is the set of 36, but I think this will be ideal because I've already seen that's the actual paints. This is the swatches that I did of the paints into the lid, which obviously is not on an ideal sort of surface, but it gives you a nice idea. Sometimes you look at the colours in here, you can't quite tell, but I'm thinking for a start that the Mars yellow is a really good match to that colour. So I like to take them out of the box, it just makes it easier. We've got this beige, which I think with the flax beige at the top would be nice. We've got a darkish brown, so there's beige grey and there's yellow brown. I'm thinking beige grey because I think that will go with the other beige. So if you looked at those two colours, for example, you wouldn't think that that was a lot darker than that one, but it is darker in the actual flesh, so to speak, than it is on there. Pea green, I think, is definitely that green there. We've got ivy green, which I think that one matches nicely. And then finally we've got this one, which I think the cobalt turquoise hue would be good for. So I will add a link to this set in the description box. I bought it from Amazon, so I will link Amazon UK because that's the local one for me. But as I always say, if you have got suppliers, retailers that are, you know, better for you, then I would suggest that you use those. I'm nearly slipping on my boxes, never mind. Right. So I thought rather than taping things off today, let's put these here. That wasn't what I was going to say originally. Let's put these over here so we can see them. Instead of taping things off, I thought I'd do some grids or frames in the background. Now, I've done grid journaling before. Grid journaling is not my invention. It's something that's people do, and I've done my version of it a few times in different places. But I thought that this would be quite nice, and not so much a grid. I don't want it to be a grid, but I want them to be frames that I can then add colour into. Now, this stencil is one that I've had for a long time. I don't think it's available anymore. It was a France Papillon stencil. I think Tando in the UK made them for her, and it's quite a few years old now, but I'm just trying to think. So they're sort of rectangles, but they're not straight edges, which I like, because then if I mess up when I'm drawing round, then it won't matter. Now I've gone with, this is a Unipin fine line 0.6 because it's water and fade proof pigment ink, so it will you know, when I use the watercolour, it won't smear the lines. Now I'm thinking that I'm going to leave a bit of a gap, so I'm going to try to hold it as best I can, butt my pen up to the edge, and then just let the stencil guide me. So that's that one there. Now the only thing with this is obviously I don't want to end up with some really peculiar space left, but then again, does it really matter? I don't want it to be a grid. I want it to be a bit, you know, all over the place. Not all over the place, but a bit more abstract-y. What size was that? That wasn't that one. I quite liked the idea then. It was turn that way maybe. Have that bit nearer. So I am just doing this how I feel. I think I might go for another one underneath. So we've got two of those. See, I could, if I need to, I could fit a little tiny one in there, but I don't think I will need to. Let's do some, that one, and then that one. Let's, oh, I'm going to be left with all the big ones in one area. Or could just do one really big one there, couldn't I? I actually quite like that idea. So we've got sort of smaller ones that side and bigger ones this side. So I'm trying to sort of hold it down. I don't want my stencil to suddenly sort of flip up in the air and cause a problem. So I'm quite liking that, I think, as an outline. So it's not, you know, it's not going to be anything amazing. It's just to give me something in the background as a bit of interest. So let's add a bit of water to these paints. So let's go for, I'm going to try to think of combining colours that will go together nicely in one sort of frame. I'm going to call them my frames because they're not squares, they're not really rectangles because they've got their wibbly wobbly edges. Oh, mistake. That's it. Sometimes when you're trying to lay your water bottle that way, it's a bit of a problem. Now I've got my clean water and my brush water, and let's get these two brushes. So we've got a bigger one and a smaller one. Let's add a bit of water to the square first. So as this is going to be at the top, maybe we'll go for some blue up here. Maybe try and maybe get it through in a sort of ombre. This, by doing this as well, I'm thinking it's going to help me maintain you know, white space, because the colour is going to be contained within the frames. So let's go with a bit of the blue. So hopefully, as I've put the water in there already, that should keep it a bit contained. Oh look, I'm just loving that already. I now feel that maybe another blue, another sort of tealy colour that would match in with that. Should we have a quick look? Oh, have I got or a deeper? I just think this, maybe this blue here. Oh, we got billiard green. Oh, I'm thinking. So this is why I get my that's why I get out the palette knife. It's a lot easier. But I'm thinking that I just want something else in there. So, you know, that's my colour palette. But if something goes to you, actually, I think I need something else. I'm going to take like that and see if that helps. That's better. Sprays don't really like being turned horizontal. Right, let's wash that off. Let's get a bit of this. These do wet quite easily. Oh yes. So it's a little bit of that in there as well. Just to add a little bit of something else. I might pop a little bit of green in. Let's pop a bit of, I think, of the dark green, just. And I'm not worried about getting exactly every part, you know, of the white covered. I want it to do its own thing. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like that. I promise I'm going to leave it. Right, let's do some blue, maybe in this one as well. Oh, do you know what I haven't done? Didn't have my water. I do this every time. I start off with an idea and then I sort of lose track because I get carried away with just trying to get the colour down. And I forget like the steps that I'm meant to be doing to sort of get there. Now, if it's going outside of the frames a bit, I'm not that worried. You know, it's watercolour is its own thing, isn't it? It's just very, very sort of intuitive, fluid. It's going to go where it wants to go, and that is part of the joy for me. Is that, you know, it's. You never know 100% what you're going to get. Shall we we'll put a little bit of the green in just to add a bit of that in as well, so it matches that. Not as much maybe in this one. There. Right, so those are my the blues. Let's go with, we'll go with some greens in this one perhaps. So, right, we're getting a bit, brush is quite big for these little blocks now. but actually it should still be okay. Let's do both of them while I'm here. I want to do these two the same, and we'll have a mix of the way it spreads. It's lovely. Now, Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints are not quite the same as a normal watercolour. They're more, they're a lot more thicker and opaque than your usual watercolours. They are made, I think, they're made more for lettering and things like that in Asia. So, you know, if you could do exactly the same as this if you wanted with, you know, your a different sort of watercolour, you know, or even, you know, it doesn't have to be paint. You could be using your stress crayons or anything to complete the colour. Whoops, I nearly did it again, didn't I? Let's put these two down. These three. There's 3 blocks left. So I'm thinking this one I want to sort of do a mix with the green at the top and then maybe the browns and beiges at the bottom, and these two I'll do with the browns and beiges. Now let's go then. It will start, let's get the lighter, let's do a little bit of ombre-ish. Let's start with the light at the top. See what happens. And let's add a little bit of the darker green, the ivy green. Then let's go with the lighter, so this was the flax beige, and if these mix it won't matter because there are all those sorts of natural earthy tones. Getting a bit of a landscape going on there, and then don't know why I've mixed that out so much. And the darker, now this isn't going to be as dark as on the colour palette. I don't know whether that on the top of that was where it was separating or whether I've got another colour on. No, me probably got another colour on it. But it is darker than that beige, so that's all that matters on there. Whilst I've got that out, I might as well add this in here, mightn't I? And just, so I'm not particularly, you know, thinking about where I'm adding that colour. I'm just adding it wherever I feel I want to, really. And then just sort of trying to spread it so that it's not all in a block all the time, that's all. Alright, so there we go. Do you know what I haven't added in? I've just realised I haven't added in any of the Mars yellow, have I? Suddenly thought, oh, where's my orangey colour? Right, let's have a bit. Just have it going across maybe. Just add some of that in. I think it does need it. I want some of that in there because I think that lifts it a little bit. But I can always, because I'm, you know me, this is not the only medium that will be on this. I will probably have some paint. I'll have some maybe neo crayons or something like that. So we can have some of that brought back in through other mediums. So I am going to leave that. So just wash my brush out properly. Give it a little dry around the ferrule. Make sure it's at a point and then put it on my little dish. Didn't use that, did I? But never mind. So I'm going to leave that to dry on its own, and I truly am. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to be heat tooling it, heat drying it. Force drying it is the words I'm looking for. I'll let it dry on its own so that it can do its own thing and meld. I have to admit, that's very puddly in there. I may take a little bit of kitchen towel and just sort of dip it in and take a little bit of that paint on water out just to make sure that it's not going to take about 10 hours to dry. So I'll see you in a moment. Paint's now dry and it's made some fabulous effects. So I'm going to see if I can sort of lift it up a little bit. Hopefully you can see we've got areas where the colours have sort of bloomed with the water. We've got, it looks like granulation in here. You get your watermarks, and this is the sort of effects that I really love from watercolour. But what I want to do is now add some extra onto the background. So I've got a couple of stamp sets here that are from Rubber Dance in, I think she's based in, I want to say Germany, but she may be based in the Netherlands, I'm not sure. But either way, I will link her shop and the items in the description box. Now I want to add, I think I'd quite like some of these because they're quite raggedy shapes. I thought some of these stitchy lines might be quite nice, but I want to do them in black to match. But before I add the black, I wanted to add some coloured textures. So this set is called Textured Spring, but it's got these little sort of textury stamps in there as well. So I'm thinking they might look quite cool. So I'm wanting, they're very little, very dinky. So I'm going to get a dinky little block, and I've picked out some colours. So I picked out Mermaid, Lagoon, Wild Honey, Ground Espresso and Library Green to match in with some of the colours in the colour palette. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do something a bit more stronger with the Wild Honey. So that little hearts are quite sort of stronger, as in bolder, so I think I'll go with them. I'm not quite sure what that one is. It's probably like little dots. So let's add some blue with the little dots, just to add. I'm just going to move my chair forward a bit because I think it's hitting the radiator behind me. Ouch. Banged my knee as well. So I want to sort of maybe try to keep them mostly inside, but actually I think they're going to look nicer if I take them outside of the frames. So this is one of the things I do like when I have things like frames in my work, is that you can sort of, although you know the frame is sort of there to hold things in, I think it's really cool when things creep over the side a little bit. Now I'm going to stick maybe with, let's do another one that there, maybe another one of that just coming up there. No, I think that's enough. So I think I'll give that a little wipe. I don't worry too much with archival inks on my stamps because it dries so quickly. You can't really get rid of it that quick. So let's go with this in green. So this is a different one, and I might add a little bit, maybe a little tiny bit up here, so that it's, well, this is like little dots. That was like little what's the word I'm looking for? Little stripes almost, and this is like little circles. Right, let's go into this bit here. So I'm just sort of doing what I think. I'm not worrying too much about where it's going. I will admit that I always do have a bit of an eye out for whether I'm putting too much in one place. I'm turning the stamp so it's not always going in the same direction, because I want it to sort of have different looks. And sometimes I might head for the middle, sometimes I'm going to head down there. So like here, I'm going to add for that section there. So I've got a bit of that going on. I did it again where I just did another further one. Now, I don't know what to do because I want to keep the hearts really. Maybe we won't worry. Maybe rather than having the orange, we'll have the brown. Let's put some brown hearts down the bottom. And I don't mind. Oops, would have rather that was a bit straighter. I think they're all going to be a bit like that. Let me think. Do I need to go that way a bit? Yep, there. But it's just really to add some extra detail. I'm wondering whether I need to put any orange in. I might not worry because I've got a bit of orange. I might put orange in with something else actually, but let's add a few of these. So we've got a pattern that repeats within all the squares and within all the shapes, I should say, because then that helps to, you know, coordinate that. So let's give that a clean. Pop you back on there, so they're all nicely on there. And let's go with some of these. Now I'm loving just the one that is like a stitched line. Now this is I think if I remember rightly, these came on one big block, and I have not cut that particularly closely to the edges, so it will be very much a guess. A guess of where that's going to be landing. But I think I'm going to go with black for this because I want it to match in with how I've drawn the lines around the stencil to get the frames. So let's just go. I can have a vague idea. Let's just do that and see where that goes. Yeah, that'll do. It's not quite as where I would wanted it, but let's see if I can do it this time a bit closer. That's better. That was more of how I wanted it. Now, if I, obviously it's a longer stamp than I've got, but if I just wipe off, just gather it roughly, so roughly about that, and then just take that bit, do that. So it looks like that's a sewn in part now, because I like the look of sewing, but I am not a sewer. Now I did get a bit off there because I dipped that into the ink rather than taking the ink to my stamp, which I would always tell people to do because you do have a better outcome. So let's do that one there. Oh, I'm liking this, yeah. And if it goes a little bit further than I wanted, you know, it doesn't matter. It's still going to, because it's got that sort of sketchy, oh, I'm going to do it this way because that there is going to be in my way, and that's sort of joined up with the other one. That's quite cool because it looks like you've carried on sewing all the way down. Oh, I do like that. I do like that a lot. Right, let's give that a clean. Let's do work out now. So about that much there. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it goes over because it just looks like I sewed too much on there. Nobody would ever believe I actually did the sewing, would they? There we go. And if you you think, oh, I wanted a bit more there, get your fine liner pen and just add it in. Right, I'm going to try to do it quick like this by dipping into the ink. It's not how I would normally do it, but oh, that actually went across that where I didn't want it, but never mind. Can you tell I get bored easy? So it's come from doing them all individually, right? Oh, now we're just going to do them all in one go. But, you know, it's meant to have that look, so it doesn't matter. And by the time I put other things on this, then, you know, it's going to all be into the background anyway. So now I'm thinking I want some stenciling. And looking at this, very much this leafy background, and I think a leafy background for the butterfly would be ideal. So I'm just going to go and have a look to see what stencil I want to use, and I'm then going to get some acrylic paint out. I might also grab some neo colours or something, add some more mark making inside. I'll have a think. So I debated whether to go for some sort of glossier acrylics, but then I thought actually I've got some lovely colours in these Americana Decor chalky finish paints. So I've got some blues, a green and a white that I thought might be nice. So we've got, let's have a look, we've got Everlasting is the white, we've got whatever this colour is, Revive, Treasure and Serene. So those are the colours that I thought might be quite good. And then I've got this stencil, again it's such an old stencil, so hopefully it's still around, but it might not be. It's by Stamps Away, copyright 2014. So what's that, 11 years 11 years old, this one, but it's got all these different leaves. You know, I don't even know, this is appalling, I don't even know if I've used it. I feel I might do because I think it looks like it might have some paint in those little bits, so I thought that might be a nice one to add something in with. So I don't know whether to go with some different leaves, just choose a leaf. I've got some, they're fabulous ones with the veins and that. I'm sort of looking at that leaf in the picture. I'm quite liking that one, so I thought that might be quite cool. So, and they could be coming in from different places, and I might try with this green to start with, because I'm feeling that this is not going to be too, ooh, I've got bits and bobs on there, be too sort of bright. So it's giving me the green and it's giving me sort of the beige as well. Let's give it a shake, see if that helps. I think these are all right. I've had these quite a while as well, but they seem to just work. I think because they have these flip caps that's only got a little bit of air coming in, they work really well. Now, what I may do, I might add, obviously don't clean my caps when I've finished, a little tiny bit of that one in there as well. And I think that wasn't, I think I should have shook that. I feel that that's not mixed properly. I'm going to just get rid of that. I'm going to get a piece of kitchen towel because I can see, this is what you do need, because your paints are made up, you know, your pigments and your binders, and I could see that was quite liquidy, and you could see the shininess of the binder as opposed to the pigment. So let's give that proper shade. That's better. That's much better. So I might go, maybe we'll mix a little bit of a different colour, so we get a little bit of a darker but not too dark. Now it was this one, wasn't it? So I'm going to, now this has got lots of veins on this leaf, so I really am going to stipple, because if I start swirling or if I, you know, rub over it, then it's going to go under those veins. So I'm making sure I've got not a lot of paint on my brush, and then I lift straight up. Love that colour. So I think this is the time when you start to get a bit worried, because now I'm going to have to sort of lean on top of that one. Let's do a bit more, mix a bit more, make it a little bit darker. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't mind if it's different shades. In fact, that might be quite nice if it is different shades. So add this one here. There we go. Oh, I do like that. That's very nice. And then I think we'll have one coming down from here, and maybe just going off the page slightly. Now I might switch colour. I might switch leaf. I feel like I may go for something a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more solid. Maybe this one, that sort of still in the vibe, and then just have it with a different colour and some different thing. I might give this a little wipe though, just because I don't want to get that all over everything, because I don't want to sort of spoil what I've already done. You know, like I always say, it's not the end of the world, but you know, if you can avoid it, it's just something simple like wiping your stencil will help. It doesn't hurt. I'm actually liking that. I think that colour goes really nicely with that one there. I feel like I want to go straight for the green this time though. I like that colour, but I feel it's very on the blue side. Now I know this is a very pale green, but I think I want a bit more of that in there now. I'm going to, which means I am going to swap my brush, and I'm just going to realise that I've got paint on my butterfly, but it's fine, it's blending. Let's get another clean brush. Let's again really work the paint into your brush, work it in, you know, when you think you've worked it enough, work it in a bit more. So let's go with, do you want that one or do you want this one? No, I want this one because it looks a little bit different to that one. So let's pop that there. The thing I like about stencils is they are so versatile. I have to say, I love stamping, I love mediums, but I find that one of the most versatile things, because you can draw around them, you can use all sorts of mediums, is your stencil. So that there, and I think one just, I feel like these should be the other way around because they are all very much coming downwards. So let's have that one on there. And if they're going off the edge, that all the more better. That was the most appalling English I think I've ever used. You know, now I've got this, I'm thinking I might want maybe another. Shall I have another one just add a little bit lighter, add some of the white in with this green. So don't want to waste this green that's here. So this is white chalky paint because it's everlasting, which I obviously don't use that much. So I'll just have a little bit of colour to it. And let's maybe just go for, I like this, it's a little bit different, so I want that maybe coming in off the bottom here. So let's just make sure I haven't got too much on there, and then just add that one. Now this, when I planned this page in my head, you know, I say planned in the loosest sense of the word, because I don't overly plan when I do things like this. I just go with, I have an idea of what I think I might be doing, but then I just sort of go with the flow and add things as I think. But I wasn't really thinking about putting leaves on here at all. Actually, I was going to put just something like squares or something very abstract, but then thinking about it, I think with the butterfly that just adds something quite nice. So now, you know, it's tied the page together. It's now no longer individual blocks, it is, so it's something with bits over the top. And even though I've put that paint down, the ink with the stamping is coming up through, so you're still seeing the colour of the paint underneath, you're still seeing the stamping of the lines, and that is what I like, because you're getting then the layers, and as you look into your project you can just see all the different sort of elements coming together. And one thing I would say, because a lot of people say, oh, you make it look so easy, I have to admit, all I do is I take it one layer at a time. Just lay your first layer down. If you think it looks rubbish, keep on adding different things, adding different layers, and you need to see the whole thing at the end to really get your sort of how it's going to look. So I will now let that dry, tidy up this and see what else I'm going to add on to this before we add our main focal point. I feel that I need to do something with some of these leaves just to give them a little bit more, what is the word? I want them to stand out a bit more, especially these lighter ones. So I've grabbed the Copic Acrea in Sepia, because I thought that goes with the these tones in the colour palette. Shouldn't talk when I'm shaking because I know that it picks up the shaking. Do give them a good shake each time, and then you may sometimes also need to just prime it with a little pump on there. Now I'm just wondering, I don't want to ruin it. I'm being very, very delicate with this. I am not trying to make really obvious lines. I'm doing that really light. I like that. Yep, so just a very light, sketchy touch to this. I'm not trying to make it really bold. I'm even not worrying about if the lines are totally there. I want them to just be, just so you have a hint of the lines there. And because it's acrylic paint, and this is acrylic, it's fine. It's not trying to go over, you know, anything that is waxy or anything like that. I love that. Yeah, I do like that. Let's just go over the lighter ones, and then I can decide whether I want to do the dark ones. And this can also help if you're like really worried about things like drawing. Doing things like this can really help to start training sort of like your hand and your eye, because by doing you're using it as a guide. You're not, you know, you're not having to think about the shape, but by just going over it, you're sort of getting the practice of how to draw those shapes. I think I do need to do it on the bluey tealy colour as well. I think that one, actually brown and teal, I love the combination of. There we go, that one. I'm going to turn it just because it will be easier for me. So this, you know, this is not at all a refined drawing. Now if you find your pen starts to stop because maybe it's, you know, not coming through as much, then just prime it again, and that will just bring that paint, acrylic ink. I'm not sure if it's a paint or ink, back up to the surface of the nib as well. So let's just do this one. And then I'm going to have a think about adding on my butterfly. Now I'm getting really scrappy, actually, I have to admit, on those last ones. But I quite like that. It's given it a different look. I really like that. Sometimes you do something you wasn't planning to do, and actually that you think, oh, we should have done some more of that. But that's how you learn, and that's how, like, next time I could go, I really liked it when I did that. I'll do a bit more of that. You know, do more of what you found you like. Now, I feel this is going to get a bit lost on this page, so I'm debating whether to cut it right to the edge now, maybe cut off my antennae, draw them back in, and then give it shading, which I think I am going to do. I don't like that white edge now. So this is the thing. The thing is, if you leave it with the white edge and then you change your mind, you don't like the white edge, you can take it off. If you just take the edge off and then you go, oh, I wish I'd left the edge on, you know, it's a bit late. So always do the thing that is easy to change, if you know what I mean. So, you know, always leave more so you can chop some off if you want to, rather than the other way around, because you can't add it back on afterwards. Well, I suppose what you could actually do, now I'm going to contradict myself, because you could have then, if you did cut it to the edge and you thought, actually I want a border, stick it onto a piece of thin white card and then recut it out with a border. So, you know, that just goes to prove there's always ways of fixing things. And at the end of the day, if it's in my sketchbook, it's not being sold, it's not, you know, not going on a gallery wall. It is not actually even going on my wall, it's going in my sketchbook for me and obviously you to see, and whoever I choose to show it to. But, you know, it's not the end of the world if it's not the most perfect piece. I'm not trying to create the perfect piece, I'm just having fun, I'm just enjoying it. And for me, that is what art journaling and creating is about. I know some people use it more as some way to get their you know, their emotions or their feelings about things out and express themselves that way. For me, that isn't how I use it, because I don't feel that's how I need to use it. But if I wanted to, I could do that, but I'm just here for the enjoyment. So it's still sort of for looking after your mental health in a way, because it's enjoyable. So anything that's enjoyable and mindful and you know, takes you away from the, you know, the mundane or the horrible things that you might be going through or seeing, then, you know, it is always, as far as I'm concerned, a bonus. So this is my cutout butterfly. It's going to go there. Now, it's still not going to stand out very well, but because I have now chopped that edge off, I will be able to go round it with an Inktense pencil or something like that. So I'm going to use my Collage medium from Distress Matte, which is a translucent matte gel medium ideal for gluing, layering and sealing papers. So I'm going to find that. I can't open it, and I remember now that this was what happened the last time I went to use it. I'm going to smack it on the table. I apologise if that's caused any problems. Oh. Right, this is why you clean your glues up when you have finished using them. And this is how I prove this is a glue, because it's stuck. So I've just put my pokey tool around the rim. See, I could go and get another one, but I'm going to now see if I can get this one open just to make a point. The other thing you can do is you can heat it slightly with your heat tool. There we go. Oh gosh. There we go. See, look, that is why, because I have not cleaned around this part when I put it away, and I never do. I'm really bad. But if you don't want your lids to get stuck on, look at that. It's just round the edges. But you can, if you knock it, I often find that's all that's needed. It just like knocks it enough to loosen it. Or you can get your heat tool and very carefully, you know, heat around it to loosen it up that way. But it's done. It's fine. Oh dear, right, let's get a brush. I'm going to use it out the lid because it's there now. I like to put it on the back. Now, I have got water reactive products on my page. I find that many of my water reactive products don't overly reactivate, but I don't go mad putting tons and tons of pressure on them. But if you're very careful, you can usually just do this and it's not going to lift it. But if you are worried, you could use a different glue and just put it on the back of your collage image and not worry about adding it, you know, over the top if you think it's going to move what's underneath. Obviously the acrylic paint and the acrylic pen won't move, the archival ink won't move, it's just the Gansai Tambi that may have moved. But I find they're quite good at not moving actually once you've put them down. So I'm going to give that a quick zap, so I apologise if this makes a lot of noise. I'll put it on a low setting. My beautiful image is now sealed down, and I'm going to get my Copic marker again, and I'm just going to add in some antennae. To be honest, I think often they look all right without antennae. Now I've got my Derwent Inktense. I think I've got a set of 24. I haven't got a massive collection of them. I want to go with the one I like is Bark. That is one of my favourites for doing shading, and because again it's then going to fit with that colour in the colour palette for me. I can't get that done up, so I'll just pop it over there. Right, let's start just adding some around the butterfly first. Now I've got my nice clean water there, luckily. Just suddenly realised that I hadn't gone and emptied the other one. So I'm going to add some around, and then I'm going to get the water and start to, oh, where's that little, I'll put the little brush away. Let's go for a different brush actually. What's this one here? No, that is that one. Let's go for this one. Right, so a bit of water, and these Inktense pencils are, as they say on the tin, they're ink based rather than watercolour based, so once they are dry they will be permanent. But whilst you are first wetting them, you have got a little bit of time to play around and get that watered out a bit. So the more water, the more pigment you put down, the better you're going to be able to water them out. And also, obviously, the more water you put down, the more you're going to be able to get them to spread out. So I like making sure that it's nicely spread out, because then I can always go back in. Because I started with, on the pencil, using the pencil direct, but you can go to the tip. As long as you're not getting your water on the wood, go to the tip, and I can always add in some darker colour, especially if once that's dried and I want to go in and like really make that more shaded, I can do that. So this is just to help raise this from the background. So let me just go in here. I'm just trying, no, I was in here. I couldn't see where the butterfly, I was going around the leaf. So if I want to go into that wet, it's not going to damage it because it's only the tip of the pencil that's going into the wetness. So let's go in there. So, you know, if you find you've put too much down, you can also get a tissue or, you know, a piece of kitchen towel and just dab that off a little bit. I usually just like watering it out as much as I can because I like that effect. But if you know, want to just dab it off, you know, that would also work. Like that. And then go around this bit. This is a nice easy shape. This is what I like, easy shapes. but I think that the butterfly goes nicely in that, with that colour palette. If you wanted it to really stand out, I could have put it onto card and then like made it more of a 3D embellishment, but because in this book I want it to stay quite flat. I want it to actually, you know, be close to the page. Got lots of nice paint on me, I've just realised. So it's not, it doesn't seem, again, it's, you can see here, hopefully, that the brown of the pencils there, it hasn't sort of pushed that paint, that Gansai Tambi out at all. It's just going over it. It's not, you know, it's not making it reactivate. Now, if like you get, the thing with having the collage medium on the top also means you do get a little bit of, you know, resist on your image. So if you then get anything on it and you want to just wipe it off, you can do that quite easily because it's got that sort of barrier between the paper and the water, which is quite handy. Add a little bit of that around there. I was thinking, what's that? That's the bit of the leaf underneath. The other thing I sometimes use is these Stabilo all pencils because they are sort of the same in that they dry permanently. They're very highly pigmented. They're very, very good for shading. I do enjoy using those a lot. So I'm going to take a bit more because I feel like I have perhaps watered this out rather a lot. I think I would possibly, oops, there it was. Sometimes you think you haven't put enough down, then suddenly you discover it. But like here I've got this line, I don't like that line, but I could do that or I can do that. So that's now took that line away. I can also see where I have laid the pencil down a bit. I've obviously scratched into it a bit, but you know what, if I try maybe to get a little bit dark up there, that will cover that up. And if you've already got the water sort of around, then as you take that colour out, it will help to just disperse it. Or if you just want to get your brush, get a little bit of water on your brush and just dab it so that it just blends and bleeds those lines together so that you don't have to maybe add quite so much water. I'm still not happy with that line, so I might blend that out a little bit. Again, I might just add a little bit of that in there and then that will just diffuse that a little bit, just blend it in a little bit. Am I happy? I might want just to add a little bit more around this side as well. I feel like I do tend to sort of blend it out sometimes too much because I'm worried about it being too dark, and then I end up having to go back round adding in the darkness again because I took too much of it away. But you know, that's part of the process, it's part of the fun, it's part of what I enjoy, is like going in, adding a bit more, having another look, thinking, is that as I want it? And I think that's fine. I like that as that is. But now what I think I want to do is I do want to add some splashes of white, just so it could be like speckled light. There is white also in here, and then obviously on this butterfly here. But what I am going to do is, rather than, I don't want white over everything, I don't want it on my actual butterfly, so I'm going to get a bit of paper, roughly the size of my butterfly. Now you can make your white splatters in all different ways. I have used Posca pens and things like that. I might do that now, actually. I might do that with my big Posca pen. Or I have got actual white ink from Winsor & Newton, but I do find it needs a great big stir up. So let's give the Posca pen a try. So very, very good shake up for the Posca pen white, I find. Right, then I take it, give it a good prime. So it's really got a lot of paint, and then I hit it with my hand. Other people hit it with other things, which probably would be easier, but I find that I just like to hit it with my hand. So it's giving quite a fine spray of dots there. So I think it's not there. That's better. That's it. You've got to get the paint moving, and that's it. That's got some much bigger. Now what you could do is, if you're thinking, oh, it's all going to be one way around, turn your book around, add them in from another angle. There we go. I think that's enough. It don't need tons, just enough, you know, to add a little bit. Again, it's making a cohesive page. So I've got quite some different looks going on here. We've got quite graphic almost and sketchy with the back, and then we've got a very beautiful sort of watercolory looking butterfly. So but I like having different looks within one piece. Now I'm just going to grab, if I can find them, where is my small talk? I like my small talk. Do we want? I want something maybe about flight or flying. I do. Oh, there's beauty and simplicity. Make it happen. Stay curious. Today's full of possibilities. Hold on tight to your dreams. Some beautiful sentiments in these. Oh, it's the little things that make life big. I think that goes really well with the butterfly, because for me, butterflies they're one of those creatures that they are just such, I think they're just amazing. They are almost a miracle, aren't they? Because they born a caterpillar, they come out of the egg, they grow, they make themselves into a cocoon or a pupa, I don't even know which one it is, a chrysalis, and they come out as a butterfly. I mean, that to me is just the amazement of nature. I'm just trying to decide where I want to put this. I'm thinking there, but then I'm also thinking maybe here. Let me just have a look. No, I like it up here. I want it across the colour. I'm going to give it a little bit of a border. Now, it's going to require some glue because it's got to go onto a lot of stuff, and I truly don't think that the stickiness of these stickers is sticky enough. I'm just going to clean out my glue, hopefully. It's probably still not cleaned it out. No, there it comes. I love glue. There we go. Right, I'm going to just spread that out actually, because otherwise I think that's going to squeeze out, and I don't want it all to squeeze out. So let's put it here. It's the little things that make life big. So we'll stick that down. Let me just lift that to myself so I can see if that's straight. And then let's grab, do you know what, I'm going to, oh no, I have got black in this. So sometimes if I don't have much black in it, I will go with the colours that are in there. But I have got black with my stamping, I've got black with the text, I've got black in that butterfly. So I think I will go with, not that one, I will go with the same pen I used to do the, I'm going to have to turn it on an angle, so I do apologise. I'm just going to go along. And because we've got all these sketchy lines, I don't have to worry about my lines being perfect, because all the lines in here. So let's just do that. Let's have a little bit of extra sort of marks in there, and there we go. So that then goes in with those sketchy sort of sewn lines. So let's pick this up and let you have a closer look. I'm hoping I'm getting this in the right place. And there we go. So if you have enjoyed this video, do please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. I'd love to have you joining me on this YouTube journey. And until the next time, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.